Welcome to our first live office hours of the summer build sprint. I'm Joan, I'm the community manager for Startup School. And as you're all joining, I will introduce Jared Friedman, who is a group partner at YC. And we're both excited to give some founders advice and answer questions that folks have who are participating in the build sprint. So we will kick off with office hours. Jared's going to talk to 4 different startups, hear what their challenges are, and give them hopefully some good advice. I'm sure he will. And then throughout the call, we have a Q&A box set up in Zoom. If you click on the Q&A icon, you can add questions there about the build sprint, startup school, Y Combinator, startups generally. And you can also upvote those questions. So if there's one that you want us to answer, give it an upvote. And after the office hours section of the call, we will move to answering your questions from that box. And so without further ado, I'll pass it over to Jared.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. It's great to meet you all. I am excited for these group office hours that we're going to do here. I love doing office hours in this format with an audience because it turns out that so many of the problems that companies have are the same. And so even though I'm going to be talking about 4 individual companies, it's very likely that the conversation that we're going to have together about the problems that they're facing is going to resonate with a lot of the folks in the audience. So thank you all for joining. These group office hours are also like a great way for everybody to see what it's like to be in the Y Combinator core program, where we do this all the time. And so without further ado, I want to invite the first company to turn their camera on and tell us about them. I think the first company is the Human Office. Jessica, do you want to start?
Hi, how's it going?
Hello, it's great to meet you.
Hi. Oh, and the first one, I'm kind of nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Okay.
This is just a casual conversation. Why don't you tell me what you're working on and we'll talk about it.
Okay. So the Human Office is a marketplace for HR teams and ERGs to book vetted, diverse speakers and educators instead of going through an agent. I don't know if it works to say Airbnb of talent. And I've been working on this project for going into 3 years now. I was not interested in any sort of tech. I was actually anti-tech, trying to be more human. I wanted, wellness to not be about meditating with like little green bubbles on a screen, or I wanted it to be about the person. But I realized after being in business for 2 years, working with companies, working with speakers, helping them find talent, that I really just am a booking person, and I'm the go-between between all these different people, and there's all these contracts to sign. And the biggest hurdle for talent getting into the space is that they don't have somebody representing them. They don't know how much to charge. And so I've decided to build a platform. I am doing the build sprint. I'm super tired of like working alone. I've been looking for a co-founder for like probably a year now. I have lots of co-founder friends. Like, you would think that I was in like, I'm not looking in the right places, but I'm in all the clubs. And so now I'm trying to build a technical platform. I have a design background. I signed up with Bubble. I've been working with people on Fiverr, but I really just need a technical co-founder. I've gone through YC. I've asked a bunch of people if they were interested, and I'm kind of just like, I'm just getting really grouchy.
Yeah, finding a co-founder is really tough. It's like really tough. I think people don't appreciate just how hard it really is to find someone who's compatible with you, who wants to work on your idea, who wants to like work on it full time. Like, it's really hard. Have you been using the co-founder matching platform built into Startup School?
Okay. I have, and I actually have I have a co-founder date on tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like having a co-founder or somebody to build, like, I don't even know this person, and this is such an intimate project that I've worked on for so long. I don't even know how to have the conversation with somebody about whether they'd want to get involved, because I would want them to just be fully involved.
Yeah. What's the obstacle been for finding a co-founder? Has it been more, it's hard for you to find someone that you like, or it's hard to convince somebody to want to work with you on this project?
Um, that's actually a really great question. I think I actually didn't understand what my product was for a long time. And so I was talking to a lot of people about what it was I was trying to build, but I didn't have a clear direction. And now I feel very clear about what it is that I want to build. And so there's a possibility that I am taking these past 2 years and pretending that I've been looking for a co-founder when maybe I've just only recently been looking for one.
Yeah. How is it going with the bubble version that you can build yourself?
I don't like it. It's okay. I'm not that savvy with it. I can do a little bit of stuff with it. Like I know what, like WordPress and all that, but what I really want to build, I know it's not possible. It's not within my realm of capability.
Mm.
So, and I understand that I have to scale it back a lot just for the MVP. Like I want to make it really simple and shop it around to, the clients that I already work with to get feedback.
Yeah. How many, so I know that you've been running the business like in a non-tech way, just sort of like an offline business. Like what scale are you at? How many speakers are you booking per month?
I've kind of stopped. I mean, I'd say I
Okay.
book around 3 speakers per month. I gave up on the project for a little while,
Okay.
but then my clients were asking me for speakers again, because there's all these ERG groups that are popping up now, and there's no resource for them to find speakers. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should do it. And so this waffling back and forth has kind of not helped me to go fully into it, because you also need to make money. Like I've been like bootstrapping for 2 years. This is just like an insane endeavor that I've been on.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, maybe it's just not like, how do you know when it's just not successful and that maybe you should give up? Or it's just I don't know.
Well, no, that's a great question. The good news is you started with the customers, and you started by offering the service even before you built a product, and for a long time. And so because you've been running this business for 2 to 3 years now, you actually know a tremendous amount about this market. I mean, you probably know more about this market than almost anyone in the world. You know what the
Oh,
customers want, you know what the speakers want, you know how much demand there actually is for the service. So really, you are like, compared to most companies in startup school that sort of start with a product and then try to find the users, you did it the other way around. You started with the users, and now you're trying to build a product that the users are telling you that they need. So really, you're in a pretty amazing position to really know whether this is a good market. Is this a real problem? Is there a big opportunity here where a lot of companies are really struggling to find speakers, and the speakers are struggling to find work? And if you can just like find the right matches, you can really make like both sides like really happy.
um well, that's the issue. So because I have been in the space for a little while, I don't have a ton of I don't have a ton of clients, not enough for me to know whether this is a big market or not. I know that there's a small market for it, and I know that I've tried to walk away from the market. And these are large companies who have they work with Humera, they have Headspace. So why the hell are they coming to Jessica Marvin, which has been my thing, right? Um, but I haven't been able to make enough money in the space personally to make it work. And I'm a little bit worried about going in on a platform and putting a whole bunch of time into it and not knowing whether it's going to be a supportive business. And so I'm extremely worried about like wasting more more time. But for some reason, I don't want to like give it up yet. You know, like maybe there's like a low tech way that I could, prove that there's a business there. I mean, I probably could if I was just doing surveys. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of underrepresented talent out there that are not TED Talk speakers that are really, really smart. I mean, especially even in tech, like there's this whole issue of like conscious AI coming up and like people getting kicked out of Google. Like those are very interesting people that I think other companies that are developing, software, they need to be heard and they need to have a platform.
Yeah. Well, incidentally, as we've been chatting, a whole bunch of people have come out of the woodwork in the comments. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but there's been a lot of people offering to help, offering
Yeah,
to
does anyone
connect
want to
you
be
with
my co-founder?
co-founders, offering
Yes.
to help you build a prototype, telling you that they think this idea is really cool. So I would say, based on the comments that you're getting, that there's something here.
So maybe I should just read these.
If anybody wants to help Jessica with this project, definitely post in the comments and maybe
here's my email.
Maybe we can make some magic happen here.
Human. I know exactly what I need to build. It wouldn't take anybody that much time. Like if anyone's a developer, probably like 10 hours max. Okay, great. This is part of the reason why I was like, well, maybe if I talk to like a platform, I can like crowdsource this.
Sometimes that's what it takes. It sounds like you've had the ability to get some people really inspired about this. So that's awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Jessica. Thank you for coming and chatting with us today.
Thanks, Jared.
Okay. Nippy Eats, you guys are up.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, what is Nippy Eats?
We're a food online ordering platform, mostly focused on menu visualization and really understanding the menu better. We're similar to Grubhubs and Uber Eats, but we're more focused on the visual aspect of it, which is like for every dish on the menu, you need to be able to see it, because I think we're becoming a visual world and people like to see things, makes ordering easier. So yeah, that's what we're mostly focused on.
Okay. And how far along is it? Is it live? Do you have any users yet?
Yes, we do. We launched our MVP last week. We have a couple of users, but so I'd say some of the issues we're facing is because I'm in Nigeria, so I'm starting off from Nigeria. But so because we're trying to get it right by having the pictures first, like every dish has to come with a picture so that we don't end up like Grubhub or Deliveroo. It's like really difficult for us to get to the restaurants and really get them to give us all the images that we're looking for. But so we just released our first MVP and we've been working on that so far. So yeah.
Cool. How many pictures do you have so far?
So far we've signed up about 20 restaurants, but we're starting with one and we're almost done with the entire menu for one restaurant. And then lucky for us, there are 3 others we're going to bring on board. They already have all their pictures. So that kind of made it easier for us as well.
How do they have their pictures? Like they'd already taken them for some other purpose?
Yeah, so some of them actually thought of the idea, but theirs is just on the menu, so they don't get like in front of a larger customer base. And then some of them, when I asked them, they were like, yeah, we're gonna have a photo shoot, we'll make all our dishes and do a photo shoot for it and send them to you. So that was like a bit easy for us, for some. But being in Nigeria, it's kind of hard to articulate the idea properly to people. So we designed Nippy to be in a way that it can be all over the world. Like we're trying to be like Airbnb. So like literally you can go from America to China and understand the dishes just by looking at it and get more creative with what you want to order, making ordering easier, I guess.
That's super cool. Okay, well, tell us what you want to talk about today.
So I am having a few issues that I feel like, I don't know if YC could help with that. One is mostly because I'm funding this whole thing by myself. And sometimes it's kind of difficult to really streamline where you want to spend the money to have the most impact. I do see people telling me, oh, you should do legal and marketing and adverts, but I don't think I'm in the place to do that yet. But like, I just like a direction on the best parts to like spend money on to get like the most impact and able to grow. And I think that's, and finding the right workers, oh my gosh, because I'm the only one that works here right now. So yeah, I feel like those two things are the hardest thing I'm finding right now.
Yeah. Well, the great news is you managed to get the product live and you got a few restaurants signed up and you even got a couple that actually have photos of all their dishes, which is not easy to do. And so that's a great start.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So what you're building is like a classic marketplace app. So the way I would think about it is like, well, my first priority is I got to get more restaurants and I got to get more dishes so that I have an app that people want to come and use, right? Because like to get people to use this, you need sort of a certain critical mass of restaurants and dishes before it's really useful. And so similar to other companies that YC has funded, like Instacart and DoorDash that do food delivery, or Rappi that does food delivery in Latin America, like the first step is we got to get a bunch of restaurants. That's called the supply side of our marketplace. So how do we get a bunch of restaurants with a bunch of dishes?
That's a really tough one over here, but I guess just talk to more restaurants and hope they have the dishes.
Well, let's ask in the comments, who has a clever idea for how these guys could get photos of all the dishes that restaurants have? Chime in the comments if you've got a clever hack for how to get all the photos of all the dishes.
Yeah, I do. So most of them, I do get their dishes from Instagram and other places. But so the problem I'm having is I don't want to release a restaurant without having the complete image of everything on the menu. Because in Nigeria, it's like if I let one person come online without giving me everything, I'm never getting those pictures again. And other restaurants be like, oh yeah,
let me push back on that for a second. Like maybe we're letting the better be the enemy of the good here. Like for most restaurants, they have certain dishes that are the most popular ones that are probably the majority of their orders, and then they got a bunch of other dishes that people don't order that much. Maybe we're being a little bit too particular in the early days here. And just to get this thing kind of going, to get the flywheel going, we just need to get some restaurants on board. And if we only have, their most common dishes or, 60, 70% of them, maybe that's good enough for now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the more restaurants we have on board, the easier it is to get other restaurants on board.
Yeah.
And so what we really want to do is you want to kind of like get this thing going. Lots of great suggestions in the comments.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Evan suggests, you can just do it yourself. You can go to a restaurant and order everything, take photos of everything yourself, or perhaps you can ask them for their top 10 most popular dishes and just order those 10.
Yeah, so that would cost me a lot, but yeah, most restaurants would have pictures of their most popular dishes. Yes.
Peter suggests that you can ask like the cooks to take pictures for you as they're making the dishes, just like during the day. There's an Another idea that occurs to me is you could basically ask them if you can just like hang out outside the kitchen and take photos of the dishes like as they come out.
Yeah, I am doing that for the
Okay.
fresh restaurant, for tester restaurants. Yes, I am doing that. Thank
Perfect.
you. So before I go off, one last question. So I am trying to apply to YC for this year. Is there, because I did try to apply once and I got rejected, but that's fine. So is there like, I don't know, some advice or something that you could give me to help better this time around?
Absolutely. Let's grow. Let's get more restaurants, figure out how to get more photos of more dishes, and then let's leverage like the restaurants and the dishes that we have to get more users to sign up and start using the app. That's the number one thing that's both like good for your business and also more likely to make your YC application successful.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody
Cool.
for the
It
advice.
was great to meet you. Good luck with the
Same
photos.
here. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Let's talk to the coaching market. You guys around?
Hi, Jared.
Hello.
Appreciate your time for this. I can give you my one-liner, and then I think the background story might give a little more clarity as to why I created this in the first place. Is that okay?
Cool.
So my one-liner, right? The coaching market is going to be a democratized e-learning platform for mainstream fitness professionals to upload and sell educational content. And the problem that I'm trying to, I am solving, because we already did our user experience interviews, our surveys. The goal is to create a public platform for individuals like me, because I'm a personal trainer and I'm also a health coach. I also travel the country teaching educational courses. And outside of working for a major company like I do, I work for Equinox as a personal trainer, which they typically have all the high-end things that keep us ahead of the game when it comes to the training industry. There's no e-learning platform that's mainstream for individuals that are outside the company, right? Big health wellness companies have platforms that they can create their own content and then sell it internally. And I work as in one of those companies. The problem is when I create the content, let's say I create content, they record me on it. It's the company's content with my face on it, which I don't think, the whole problem I'm solving is giving an outlet for people like me that do make their own content, that love to share, that have a following, to, hey, here's a platform, marketplace style, where you can upload your content, make your quizzes, track everything that you need to from a sales perspective, and then sell it to your people, right? Because too many people in the social media industry give everything away for free. And if anything is of value, you should never give it away for free in my mind. So yes, Udemy for fitness. Thank you. I saw the comment. It's exactly what I'm going for, right? It's a marketplace. This could be a mixture of Udemy, Etsy, all that kind of good jazz, where anybody who has just a generally a solid background in the fitness industry, whether they have, a big client base, small client base, they have something to share, sell it. So it's the democratized e-learning platform that gives people like me an opportunity to actually put their stuff out there and then make a name for themselves off their own brand, because COVID exposed us. When COVID hit, a lot of us that worked in the company were just screwed, and that sucked. And then I looked on other platforms trying to figure out how I could upload and sell my content. They wanted a ridiculous cut, or they asked for way too much in the early stages. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make it for the people. And that's how far we've got so far. My background, I have no tech background. I'm literally just an expert in the field. I've been in the field for almost 10 years. I have over 10,000 hours of personal training that I got paid for. I have over 1,000 hours of educational courses, and I travel. So like, I'm not guessing, right? Like, I know exactly what's needed, especially working for a company that is on like the leading edge of the fitness industry and online e-learning. So
that's awesome.
yeah, that's
really, thank
that's
you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
The amount of passion that you have for this is like very obvious. So
dude, like I feel it's like that makes my hair come up on my skin every time I talk about it. Like, yeah, I've been working on this for quite some time now, and my issues is that I actually don't have a tech background, right? So luckily I work a lot, a significant amount, like 7 days a week already, which I love working, so it doesn't bother me. But I bootstrapped this entire thing, starting with user experience specialists. Right, I got that person beforehand, before having the website even made, so I knew exactly how to make it, because I knew my biggest turnoff was going to a website that was kind of confusing. So I was able to hire a guy to help me figure out and set up these surveys to figure out what the most effective thing is to do to make this platform. And luckily with my network, it was easy for me to actually reach out to a bunch of people that are educators already, right? So I have almost 30 participants already. I already have content made and a large following, and it's still growing because I'm purposely not introing it to a certain people because I want to give them an actual demo, people that I know I can't waste their time. So at that point, this is where I have a hard part is like, I have no tech founder, I pay somebody. And at the same time, it's kind of tough because there's only so much I can do, right? Like I do all the back end stuff. I think on the articles that we read, it's called like shelf blindness or something like that. Like that's all I can do. Like I do all the back end things, whether it's getting surveys set up, setting up all the accounts. So, you know, that's kind of the hardest thing I've had going forward. And then I even saw at the application, they want us to have a, in our 1 minute video, the people that helped us make the platform, but technically the two people I had to network and find, they're not like I'm paying them. So should I still have them in the video for my application or what? I'm not really sure. Okay, sweet. All right, cool. And then just building off the no tech co-founder start, this is where for me, I'm very like an obsessive worker and it feels like it's going slow. And I could be wrong. So I just want to make sure, like, what's the biggest thing to make sure you don't put major time into minor things? Because I don't know where that line is. Like, am I putting too much time something that I should kind of just push past, or, you know, should I spend more time on something that may need more time? And that's a really interesting gray area I'm running into.
Sorry, are you saying, are you planning to bring on a technical co-founder, or do you want to continue working with the two folks you're
So
working
the
with
two
now?
folks that are helping with, you know, we're going to finish until our MVP is done and they'll be considered after. But from a timing standpoint, because they're all doing their parts of the project, and my user experience specialist, he's a little on the slower side. He's trying to go very standard practice for surveys, the amount of rounds you have to do. And with the build sprint, I want this to be done, right? But I don't know if I'm asking him to kind of move past this round of surveys and start building, right? Rather than trying to spend more time waiting for him to finish more surveys. Like, should I just continue to move past that?
I think based on the comments that other people are also not having a little trouble like figuring out the best way to help you with this. Would it be helpful for you to get suggestions of like low code or no code tools that you could use to build this yourself?
So I don't think I can build this myself personally. Like
Okay.
I know that's not my skill set, but I am directing the individuals that are going through us and building it for us. When it comes to my usability testing for the consumer portion, I feel like it's going a little slow. Should I continue on the path of asking him to move, like to kind of just move on to the next phase, or should we continue to just go do the slow pace for getting this part of the surveys done for our usability testing?
Yeah. So does anyone have thoughts in the comments? Let's see if other folks can help.
I wouldn't be focused on UX as much. So I saw somebody wrote wouldn't be focusing on, and that's how I felt, right? Like focusing on the UX, like he did what he was needed to do to help create the wireframes, the flows, but some of the stuff is kind of dragging, right? Like getting people signed up for the surveys and then getting them in, it's just dragging. And I'm at that point where I almost want to tell them like, we need to kind of skip this phase and just not skip it, but end where it is and then move on to our MVP. And that thing, and just hearing some of the comments, I think that would probably be the best idea to do, is just kind of move forward from there and keep building and just put the MVP out.
Sounds like you've already kind of got like some pretty strong instincts about the right thing to do here, Roman, which is like,
yeah,
if we're getting stuck in the mud here, let's like switch gears to something to get ourselves unstuck.
okay, yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking, because okay, that makes total sense. And I guess I just need a little more confirmation and make sure I wasn't making a poor move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're trying to definitely push our launch to be done by the end of the build sprint. And once we're launched, I already have the users, they just and the content. I just need them to put it up there and go from there.
Awesome. Well, we've got a ton of great questions in the Q&A, so I want to make sure that we have time to get there. So Roman, thank you so much for coming. I love your passion on this idea. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Cool. Great meeting you. Last but not least, Zorp.
Hello, Jared.
Hey, Jared. Hi.
Hey, Jared.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing good.
Awesome. Awesome.
So why don't you start by telling everybody what Zorp is? I like the name, Zorp.
Thank you. Zorp is the Shopify for operations. So a lot of companies out there, who run some amount of like deskless operations where people don't sit at a place to provide products or services, like, delivery, warehousing, home services, etc. So today what they actually do is the options they have is, like run these processes with Google Sheets, WhatsApp, or some amount of, no code tools, or, invest in a solid tech team to build these platforms internally. That's what people do. And that's what we did in our previous organizations. So what we are building with Zorp is the ability for any company to use a platform we have to design whatever operational workflows and implement it and go live in a matter of few hours. But also when your operations evolve, which it always does for every single company, you have the ability to customize and make it scalable when your process also scales. So that means, like, don't forget about building operational tools every single time. Focus on your core product. Let's take care of the operation platform assets. So that's what we're trying to do.
I like it.
Awesome.
That
So
sounds like a real problem.
Yes. So there's something. So all three of us worked together in the past. So luckily we don't have the co-founder problem, and we built similar products, in different companies. And in the last company where we all worked together, we built a similar product, right? So that's when we realized, like, hey, why do we keep doing this over and over again? Like, I'm bored of building this product. So why don't we build something which a lot of people can use? So that's where it came from. So we, the stage we are at, we have the MVP ready, the first version of the product. So we're working with our first customer to start the pilot right now, and we have like a few more customers on board. So that's the phase we are. Yeah.
Awesome.
So great. So there are a couple of questions we had. Like Vivek, you want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take the first one. Hi, Jared. I hope you're doing good today.
Hello.
Yeah, so the first one that we had was basically our target market. We are targeting the US market for our outbound, and for inbound, we are pretty open. So we are getting a sufficient amount of lead in terms of inbound from the Indian market, primarily from our connects. But my question for you is, sitting here in India, how do we kind of reach out to our prospective customers in US, right? And we kind of have reached out to some of them. We kind of, our top of funnel looks pretty wide today in terms of like LinkedIn, or probably the emails, or some of the connects of connects, but we have not really found too much of a success there. It's limited. So kind of just want to understand if there is a general playbook that we can follow if you're missing out anything there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the question is like, hey, we're in India. How do we get US companies to like want to talk to us about this product? How do we get in the front door with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we are we are not even trying to sell a product at this point of time. We kind of are trying to understand their processes, how they really run their business, kind of fine tune our product, fine tune our thought process there. So it's like getting into the door, as you rightly mentioned. So yeah, and any tips from you, from audience, will be greatly appreciated.
Sure. I have some thoughts, but does the audience have any thoughts? Chime in with some ideas in the comments based on anything that you think might be helpful for the Zorps.
Sure, I can see some of them cold calling, emails, leveraging network. We are doing it to some extent, but with limited success.
Yeah, here would be my thoughts for you guys. If you don't already have a network in the US, like people who can make warm introductions, then you need to master the art of cold outreach, which is just reaching out to random people on the internet and getting them to respond to you. And the good news is, on the internet, nobody knows that you guys are in India. Like, we're all just on the internet. on Zoom, you could be literally anywhere in the world. So don't let that, that's probably more of a psychological impediment to you guys than an actual impediment, because in the newly globalized all remote world, like anyone can be anywhere. So I think instead, probably what you guys need to sort of master is the exact way to reach out to people to get a successful response, which is a tricky optimization problem. It's who do you reach out to? What are the exact words that you use to reach out to them? What are the channels that you reach out to them on? Do you reach out to them on LinkedIn or email or both? How many times do you reach out to them? How does the message change between the first time that you ping them and the second and the third time? A really common thing is founders just don't ping people enough. They just have to be more aggressive about it. So there's a lot of like dials and knobs in there to tweak. And that's really the process that you guys should run, is like, hey, let's message a lot of people, and let's try a lot of different messages, a lot of different profiles, a lot of different channels. You want to throw a lot of stuff against the wall and try to figure out what works.
Right. Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So this is something we've been doing actually. So
Okay.
The problem is I'm doing it myself today. Like some of us based on no time, and like you don't get enough time, right? Based on the experts or other founders I've spoken to, the response rate is fairly okay. Like if we reach out to around 100 people, we get around 5 to 10 responses, which people say it's okay.
Yeah.
But the problem is at this stage, we want to get as many demos as possible. So trying to figure out some hacky ways to, get that connects into the market.
Well, if you're getting 5 to 10% response rate, I agree that actually is good. Can you just send more?
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to do that. Yeah.
Some folks are suggesting some tools that could be helpful. Are you sending them all on LinkedIn?
No, so we've tried like LinkedIn and emails. All the personalizations you spoke about, like getting something from their data, like different ways of messaging. So these are some things we've been experimenting over the last month or two. Some of them have we have understood something about the market. Some of them have given good responses. So that learning process is definitely ongoing. Yeah. Just trying to figure out a way to accelerate this.
Does anyone have suggestions for tools that these folks might use to help scale up their sales efforts? There's an earlier suggestion to check out HubSpot if you guys haven't tried that. There's also a YC company called Apollo. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we use Sales Navigator, etc. Cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you want
what
to
other things did you guys want to talk about?
Yes, hi, Jared. So I have one question regarding the product itself. We mentioned that we're piloting with one of the customer, and then a few people are pipeline. So we do see that there are some requirements coming in, different kind of requirements from each customer, right? So since we are going to be a SaaS platform, so at this stage, as an early stage company, do we need to start focusing on self-serve tool, like they just get their workflow, in our case, done by themselves, and then just start there, right? Using the product basically, or do we have to handhold them right now? So to give the setup and all those things, till our products matures enough to serve all the use cases, right? So little confused there, which way to go. Your advice would help.
Yeah. Are you guys getting any sort of just like cold signups, just like coming to the page, they just like sign up, they would like to use it?
Yeah, we do get a few of those.
Yeah. Well, it's not unusual for enterprise companies like yours to wait to build a fully self-serve signup, because sometimes it's challenging, depending on your product, to really build a really good onboarding flow that enables people to onboard successfully all on their own. And so like it might make sense to wait until you really sort of have users sort of asking for it, where they're coming and they're signing up, and you just want, you're doing so many onboardings that you're like, man, I'm just spending all my time doing onboardings. I should really make this self-serve. I do think though, just looking at your website, that like you could probably encourage more self-serve signups by sort of more inviting people to sign up to use the product. Right now, you don't really have that. You just kind of have a contact us form, as opposed to just like, I want to use this product, please let me in. If you sort of built that flow, you might get a better sense of how many people are coming and doing that. Because if you guys are doing mass sort of sales outreach on LinkedIn, people won't necessarily respond to the LinkedIn message or the email. They might go to the website and just try to sign up. And then sort of like the lead goes cold unless you can sort of capture them from your website. And so if you're sending a lot of emails, you want to make sure that you're getting all the leverage that you can from those emails by creating a really easy path for them to go to the website and feel like they can at least take a first step towards actually like using the product.
Yeah,
Makes sense. Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
Jared, on that point, I just had one other follow-up question.
Okay.
So what kind of signals should we really look to hire or expand our tech team? So me and Subramania, both of us are engineers, so we kind of spend a lot of time kind of building stuff, while Bala actually talks to a lot of customers and prospective customers there. But just want to kind of pick your brain on what would be the right signal to kind of start expanding the team or hiring engineers or product designers or the likes of them.
Yeah. Well, the first question is, do you guys have enough, like, do you guys have enough resources to be able to hire people to help you full time? Have you?
Yeah, to
raised
some
money from
extent,
investors?
yes. To some extent, yes. We probably can hire a couple of more engineers.
Yeah. You know, different companies approach this differently, but what I would say is that most of the best YC companies waited to hire their first employees for a while. They waited to hire their first employees until they had, you know, a significant amount of usage, until they had real customers, until they had real strong signs that they are building the right product. And the reason is that before you have this science, you often have to change direction a lot. Like, you're not exactly sure what features to build. The product is changing a lot, and you can often do that faster, weirdly, with a small team of just the founders who know each other really well, know the problem space very well, can communicate very effectively. And since you guys have two technical co-founders on the team, you don't really need to hire anybody else in order like to build this. So like the counterintuitive thing that we've learned at YC is that often adding employees to the mix too early when the product is still in its formative stages actually slows you down rather than speeding things up, because now you've got this communication overhead. You have to make longer term plans that you might end up like it might not even be the right plan by the time it's finished. And so like, since you guys have been working together for a long time, and you probably work together really effectively, and you have all the skills required to build this on your founding team, my suggestion would be to just like stay in a group with just the three of you, save your runway, and get a little bit further along in terms of like the product and the customer traction before you expand the team.
Got it. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Cool, guys. It was great to meet you. Thanks for coming, Zorp.
Yeah.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Same
Bye-bye.
here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Awesome. That was great.
Yeah. All right, let's do some questions.
Yeah.
Joan, do you want to lead
I
us?
I can pull them for you. I think most of them are going to go to you though. The first one is from Andre, who says he's a solo founder. Is it likely that investors will require me to find a co-founder if he's at the MVP stage?
So will investors require you to find a co-founder? No. And in any case, you shouldn't find a in general, like, you don't want to be sort of doing things because some investor told you to, or because you think that like some investor requires them. Like, you should in general in your company be doing the things that you need to do in order to make your company successful, in order to build a good product that people like, in order to get users, in order to get revenue, in order to build a successful business. That should be kind of like your driving light, not like what investors want or what do you think they want. In terms of like solo founders, absolutely, investors will fund solo founders. YC funds solo founders all the time. A lot of our most successful companies are solo founders. Having said that, as you kind of heard from a couple of the panelists here today, it's a lot easier to build a company with a co-founder, particularly if you don't have all the skills yourself to like both build the product and sell it to users. And so that's why we encourage solo founders to think about whether having a co-founder could really help them be more successful. And if so, to use some of the tools we built, like the co-founder Hatcher, to work on that. But it's not for everybody. If you're a solo founder and you're like, I got this, I can do everything, I don't need a co-founder, like I'm good, that may work for you.
Nice. Christina asked, what kind of traction are we looking for in successful YC candidates in applications?
Yes. This is a really common question, and unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to give a satisfying answer. And the reason is that at Y Combinator, we fund companies with widely varying levels of traction. Every batch, we fund some companies that have an unlaunched product. They've just built, a prototype, or they haven't built anything at all. It's really just like wireframes or something. So we fund a lot of companies at that stage, pre-launch, super early. We also fund a lot of companies that are really far along. They've been around for 2 years and they have thousands of users and thousands of dollars in revenue, and we fund everything in between. So there's unfortunately not like a clear bar that you need to hit in order to get into YC. And that's one reason why we encourage everyone to just apply to YC, because you never know, and there's not much downside to doing it.
Very true. Mohammed asks about, I think this is really about how to get your early users. And he's asking, should we launch a monetizable early version of the product, or should we create a community of users first?
Yeah, so should you start charging for your product right off the bat, or should you just try to get people to use it for free and then figure out how to get them to pay later? It's a great question. Ideally, you have the sort of product that people will pay for right off the bat, particularly if you're selling to businesses or if you're providing something that is clearly valuable, like you're building a delivery app where people are buying food or something. You should really lean towards charging at the beginning. Not all products are like that. Some products need a little time to bake. And if you try to charge for them immediately, it'll be hard to get feedback from users about, if they're working for them, if it's solving the problem that we wanted to solve. And so while it's great if you can charge early on, if you can't, that's okay. You can launch and not charge and get some users and think about how to monetize down the road once you have some people who are using the product.
Awesome. Anil asks if you have any resources that you recommend for having effective user interviews.
Yes. We have a startup school talk on this, right, Joan? How to talk to users?
I will definitely drop that in the chat.
Yeah, by my colleague, Eric Mikakovsky. This is a great talk.
Okay. If you are an international startup, is there an ideal time to convert to incorporating in the US? Presumably you're going to operate in the US.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky question because the regulations vary so much from country to country. So it depends what country you're in and all kinds of stuff. But in general, if you want to build the kind of startup that raises money from investors and potentially could become a big company someday, you're probably better off just incorporating in the US from the get-go. That doesn't 100% apply in every country and in every situation, but it applies in most countries and most situations. And the reason is that US corporations are very easy to deal with. They're very cheap to incorporate. They're very easy to incorporate. There's lots of online tools for doing them. When founders incorporate in their home country, that's a non US country, they often find that it's a lot more expensive and a lot more challenging to do basic company things that are very easy to do in the US, like hiring employees and assigning equity and raising money. Sort of all of those operations are very simple and actually much cheaper in the US than in most other countries.
And a plug for that, we do have deals in Startup School to incorporate as a Delaware C Corp, which is the most standard incorporation for startups in the US. So if you earn your Startup School certified badge, you'll get access to those as well.
Great point.
Okay. We sort of touched on this, but I guess maybe more broadly, if you're raising money from investors, is there a certain amount of traction that you should have as a B2C company?
No, I would say that's the same answer to the question that we had earlier. Let's look a little bit further down the list.
I was going to say we have about 7 minutes, so if you have any that jump out at you, you can answer them.
Somebody asks, do you have to have a revenue model before you apply to YC? I'm currently building a Chrome extension that will have a lot of users, but I have no idea how to monetize it. No, you do not need to know how to monetize your product. For some products, it's really sort of obvious from the get-go how you're going to monetize it. For other products like Chrome extension, it may be really unclear how to make money from it. But if you can build something that people use and they like, and that's providing value to them, that's a good sign. And sometimes you just want to start there and then figure out how to make money from it, in the future. Sometimes it takes a while.
There are a couple questions about if you're a non-technical founder, how do you work well with a technical co-founder, or how do you vet a good technical co-founder that you might work with? Do you have any advice on that, Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best way to vet a potential co-founder is to do what we call a work trial, which is you literally just try working together for a while and you see how it goes. And if you have someone who's really serious about being a potential co-founder, they should be willing to work with you for a couple of weeks and try this on for size before you both commit to actually starting a company together. Probably more than 2 weeks, honestly. It's probably more like a month. Do we have some templates in the co-founder matching tool to help people with that, Joan?
Yes. So if you use the co-founder matching tool, when you match with someone, we give you a template to outline working on a project together, and it outlines really basic things. You could recreate it, the time that you plan to work together, the deliverables that you want at the end of the project that you're working on, and if you're writing code, who will own the code at the end of that project. So pretty simple template that you can customize for a time-bound project to evaluate the fit. And it might also be related to building on the idea that you're working on. Let's see, I'm looking for a good one to end on. Oh, here's a good one. How do you keep your team motivated? After the initial high of starting a startup or getting started, motivation levels tend to dip. So how do you keep your team focused and motivated at the early stage, Jared?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think this is one of the really challenging things about starting a company is that The highs are high, but the lows are low. There are a lot of lows when like things don't seem to obviously be going well, and it's really like hard to stay motivated and to stay confident that you're working on the right thing and that this thing is going to work in the end. Here's a couple of ideas for how to stay motivated on your company. First, get motivated by the problem. So like, as you heard from Jessica, she really feels like she's solving a big problem for the world, that it's hard for companies to recruit underrepresented speakers. And she is very motivated to solve this problem in the work because she cares about the problem. I think that is a great way to stay motivated on your company, where even if it's not clear that the business is taking off, if you believe that you are working on an important and pressing problem for the world, you can stay motivated to keep trying to solve that problem, even if it's not obviously working right now. Another way to stay motivated on your company is to set consistent weekly goals, which obviously we help with Startup School. Startups go from like 0 to being really successful over a period of many, many years. And in any one week, it looks like things have barely changed because you're just like one tiny bit further down the path of a very long journey. And sometimes when you're in the middle of this, it's easy to not feel like you're making a lot of progress when actually you are. And so by setting weekly goals, by just trying to get one more user every week, by just trying to get, 10 user conversations, or trying to just launch one feature per week, you can feel like you're making clear progress, even though like the end goal is a long way away. Joan, do you have any other ideas?
No, I think that's a great note to end on. And hopefully, in week 1 of the build sprint, you are feeling motivated and following Jared's advice. You'll have a weekly goal every week, and founders to check in with every week as well. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jared. Thank you to all the founders who spoke and asked questions today. And we'll see you same time next week for more live office hours and Q&A.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.